Welcome to Windy City Meeples. I'm your host Shane, and today we're going to look at Valeria Card Kingdoms. It's a 1 to 5 player tableau building, dice throwing, resource management set collecting game. So, in this game, you play as dukes, defending the kingdom of Valeria against a horde of monsters that are threatening to overtake the kingdom. You're going to do that by recruiting citizens to your aid and building domains, using those things to gain strength to be able to confront and defeat the monsters. The winner of the game is going to be those who has the most victory points at the end, and they will be the true hero of the kingdom of Valeria. So let's get down to the table here. As you see, so the first thing you need to do when setting up the card kingdoms is develop your monster decks. So you're going to get a group of 5 monsters for each region you want to play with. There's multiple regions to play with. In this game, we're going to play with the hills, the ruins, the forests, the valleys, and the mountains. So you're going to get cards from those decks and then arrange them from strongest on the bottom to weakest on the top. So I have a couple examples here. We've got the hills here, which we have the Goblin King, who has a strength of 6, so he's going on the bottom. Then the Goblin Mage, which is 3, goes on top. And then we have 3 goblins, all strength of 1, so they go on top. Then on the mountain side here, we have the Orc Chieftain, which is 14. The Orc Warriors are each 9, so we got 2 of them. So put them in there. And then the Dire Bears are 5. So we'll take them and we'll throw them. So once you have your 5 groups of monsters, you lay them out in a row of 5, going from the weakest to the strongest. So the top monster is what's going to determine whether it's weakest or strongest. So as you see, goblins are 1. We got skeletons in the ruins here for 2. Tree ants in the forest for 3. Owl bears at 4 in the valley. And we got the dire bear at 5 in the mountains. So we've got them arranged from weakest to strongest. The second thing you're going to set up in this game is your citizen marketplace. You're going to gather 1 citizen of each numerical value. As you see in their top right corners, they have a value from 1 to 12, while 1 to 8, and then 9 and 10 are 1 value, 11 and 12 is another value. So you're going to be gaining 10 different citizens, and you're going to lay them out in groups of 5 cards each, in rows of 5 just under the monsters. So you got 1 to 5 in the first row, and you got 6 to 12 in the next row. Then you're going to lastly set up for your whole basically marketplace in the game is your domains. You're going to shuffle them up, deal 2 down into each column, and then 1 face up on top of each column. So you're going to have 1 face up, and as you see, if we move it, it's face down the rest of them. So you're not going to know what's coming, and it's always changing. So it kind of keeps it fresh. You're not knowing what is going to be built and when. So it's a nice variability. Plus, there's more different domains, monsters, and citizens to play in the core box. This is just what we're choosing to play with here. Next, you're going to give every player a player aid, and then a starter peasant and a starter knight. These are denoted by the backs of the cards. As you see, they will say starter on the back. And I'll show you a knight from the stack here. If we flip it over, you'll see that they say citizen. So once you've done that, you're also going to give 2 gold to each player and a magic. That's your starting resources and starting citizens in your tableau. Then you're going to deal 2 duke cards to everybody. They're going to look at them, and they're going to decide which one of them they want to use. You keep this information private because this is kind of your end game scoring and kind of might dictate how you're playing the game, so you really don't want the other people to know what you're kind of going for and how to stop you. So we'll have a look at the 2 that we got here and kind of give you a breakdown of how they work. So we got Warren, Lord of Rogues here. At the end of the game, you're going to score 1 victory point for every worker in your tableau. You're going to score 2 victory points for every shadow citizen in your tableau, and you're going to get 1 victory point for every set of 3 resources left over. Simon the Unclean here will give you 1 victory point for every worker in your tableau, another victory point for every soldier in your tableau, and 1 victory point for every set of 2 resources left over. So you see they're going to kind of... These ones actually seem very similar in going after workers, and then the one wants the shadows and one wants the soldiers. But it kind of gives you an idea how you're going to go and play the game. What kind of work or citizens you're going to want to recruit. Maybe with Simon, you're going to want to have more resources left over because 4 resources is 2 points to you, where with Warren, it's 1 point because they can only make 1 set of 3. So you kind of, it's going to dictate how you play the game. So we're just going to pick Simon the Unclean, put him face down. So that is how you set up the game. Obviously, also you're going to put your strength, magic, gold, resource pile somewhere on the board, like most games. But now each player will have their starting stuff. Your marketplace is built. So then it's time to go to plays. You pick who's going to be the first player. You give them this nifty first player marker. And then the game starts. So now we move on to the first phase of your turn, which is the roll phase. So the active player rolls both dice and activates any domains you have. We have no domains, so we'll just grab these dice and roll them. This works out great for example here, because now, after we roll them, we move into the harvest phase. And in the harvest phase, citizens in your tableau activate based on the value of each die and the sum of the dice. So in this one we have 5, 6, and 11. So you're going to gain resources based on the left side of the card because you are the active player. So it's denoted by the 1 player symbol. Everybody else, because in this game everybody is getting something on everybody's turn, everybody else will get what's denoted on the right side of the card under the multiplayer icon. So as you see, as we being the active player, we are going to gain 1 gold from our peasant and 1 strength from our knight. So we gather those resources: 1 gold, 1 strength. Everybody else now, because they have the same cards, would also be gathering 1 gold and 1 strength. So that's the harvest phase. If in the harvest phase you roll your dice and nothing activates, like you don't trigger any of your citizens, you just automatically get 1 resource of your choosing. And that goes for everybody else as well. If the active player rolls a dice and it doesn't trigger anything in your tableau, you also can get 1 resource of your choosing. It's a way to keep everybody in the game so people aren't falling behind, and so you kind of feel a part of the game the whole time. That's the way I believe they put that mechanic in there, because there's games that just, especially with rolling dice, this is a way of mitigating the luck of the dice a little bit, because some of us know that rolling dice is not our forte, and we seem to be the unluckiest people in the world. This way it keeps you still going even if you're not getting luck with the dice. So, after the harvest phase is kind of the meat of your turn. It's the action phase. You have to take 2 actions. Only 2, but not less than 2 either. And you can do the same one twice or different ones. You just have to be able to do the action you want. So the first action we could do is slay a monster. So if we go up here and see, we have 1 strength and 1 magic. So we can actually use magic to slay monsters. Some monsters will require magic and strength, or maybe just magic to slay. But of the examples we have here, they all require strength. So strength, you have to pay at least 1 strength, and then you can use magic as a wild card kind of resource to pay the rest of the cost. So we basically have 1 strength, 1 magic, for a total of 2. So we can actually use our 1 strength to take out a goblin here and gain a coin. Or we can do the skeleton and gain a coin as well. I might look at it and go, well, this is 2 points for me if I take out the skeleton, so maybe I'm gonna take out the skeleton. So we got that. We take the card, just one of the cards, and we put it in our little victory pile here. It stays up so that everyone knows that what we've slain, it's common knowledge. Then we take our magic and our strength, and we go to put them back. So strength there, magic there. But if we noticed on this skeleton, we also, at the bottom, get a bonus for slaying them. So in this case, we get 1 gold. We take that, put it into our pile of gold, which is growing. So then we go to the second action that we can take, which is recruit a citizen. To recruit a citizen in this game, you're going to pay the cost in the bottom left corner in gold. For example, here the cleric is 3, but the plus sign means that if you have another cleric in your tableau already, you must pay 1 more gold for each other cleric there. So if we had 3 clerics and wanted to buy this cleric, it would cost us 6 gold. Also, you want to note on the citizens is they have other symbols as well, which will be used for endgame scoring and helping you to build domains. So if they have this little winged symbol here, it means they're holy. The hammer symbol on this, like this merchant and the miner, means they're a worker. The kind of dagger and key on the mercenary and the thief is shadow. And the helmet here, as you see on the warlord, the archer, and the knight, is soldier. So you might want to think about that when you're looking to buy as well, depending on what you want to purchase for domains later. You'll notice that the starters don't have any symbols, so they actually won't count to helping you build domains. So we can look here. We have 4 gold to play with, and we want to maybe get some more strength. So we're looking at this. The best way to get strength and gold to keep us buying stuff is maybe this mercenary. For every 3, we're going to get a gold and a strength. And if we have a bunch of gold, or if we have a bunch of strength on the other player's turn, we can turn it into gold. So that might be the way we want to go. Or maybe we just want to straight go up with strength. Let's just go with strength right now, because we want to slay some monsters. So then you put the guy in your tableau, and you pay his cost. This guy's calling us, there we go, all 4. I typically like in this game to arrange my tableau in ascending order. Makes it kind of quicker and easier to find when the dice are rolling what numbers I have. So that's buying a citizen. The next action, you can buy a domain. To buy a domain, you're going to have to pay the gold in the bottom left-hand corner like any other citizen card. But you also have to have the prerequisite citizens in your tableau to begin with. So like the Cathedral of St. Aquila, you have to have 2 holy citizens in your tableau before you can even look at building this. Foxgrave Palisade, you need a soldier and a shadow. And you see so on and so on, 2 shadows for Purliner's Perch. Sorry if I'm butchering that. And as you'll see, once you build them, they will either give you an immediate action, like Eye of Asteratan. You're going to immediately gain 5 strength and you may slay a monster. Or they might give you an ability for the rest of the game. Like this one's at the end of your action phase. You can take 1 gold from another person. That's the little blue icon, denotes an opponent. And the arrow pointing to the gold means another person's giving gold to you. This one allows you to pay 2 gold to change any dice into a 6. This one says during your action phase, ignore the plus when buying citizens. So this might be a good one if you want to load up on a certain type of citizens, because you're never going to have to pay that penalty for already having some in your tableau. You just straight up pay their, like for the knight 2 or 2. Like you don't have to pay the plus for each guy. And then this one's the immediate one as well. It says immediately take a random monster from another person. So that's when you take from their slayed monsters and put it into yours just to gain some more victory points. And so after you purchase one, you'll take it, put it into your tableau, and then you'll have this card to flip. You'll have to flip over the next card and put it back on top. The last action you can take on your turn is to just gain a resource of your choice. So if you don't have the money to buy a domain, or the strength to slay a monster, or to buy a citizen, or even if you're just saving up for something else you want, maybe you want to save your strength and not fight that low monster because you want to get a bigger monster, you can just take one resource of your choice from the pile. So after that goes to the last phase of your turn, which is the end phase, and all you're doing there is passing the dice to the next player, making them the active player. So the game is going to continue going around and around until at the end of a round, one of these end conditions are met. So either all the monsters have been slain, will trigger the end game scoring, all the domains are built, or you've exhausted 2 times the number of players' citizen piles. So for example, if you're a 2-player game, if 4 citizen piles are exhausted, then you would trigger end game scoring. You have the little exhausted cards as placeholders if you want to put into piles. I mean, sometimes if you have a tableau like this and you just have an empty pile, it's fine to just leave it that way. But they're nice to have the exhausted cards so you can quickly glance at the board and go, hey, there's 3 exhausted piles. There's only 2 of us. The next exhausted pile is going to trigger the end of the game. So once all that's done, you're going to take the scoring from your domains, your slayed monsters, and then whatever end of game scoring bonuses you get from the Duke you have, you total it up, and the winner is the player who has the most. You're the hero of Valeria. Rejoice. So why I like this game is we have a game in our library currently called Machikoro Bright Lights Big Cities. I think it's the non-expandable version of Machikoro. My wife really enjoys the game, and I do too. I just found that it's too easy to have one strategy. There really isn't multiple paths to victory. It's basically because you have to build the same landmarks in that game. So it's basically build this one special landmark that really helps you manipulate your dice rolls. And once you get that, you're pretty much off to the races to win. I find that whoever builds that first usually is going to win the game, barring some unforeseen catastrophe. So that to me gets a little stale after a while. I've played Space Base, which is more similar to this than Machikoro, I believe, because I think there's definitely more going on of you taking actions on other players' turns as well, like this one is. And I like it, but I'm not a space guy theme. So when I've seen this for a while, I don't know why I never picked it up before. The Darksworn Kickstarter for their expansion right now is what really brought it back to my attention again. But I love like Vikings, medieval themes, wizards and warriors, and I really love the Miko art. Like, it is amazing, and it just draws me into the game. Plus, having the Dukes kind of gives you a different path to victory, so you're not always going for the same thing as everybody else, like in the Machikoro example. It's kind of like you got some variability. Plus, in this one, it's expandable. There's many expansions for them. Like right now on the Kickstarter, you can pledge up to get 2 out of print, or almost out of print. One's out of print and one's low stock expansions. And then there's 2 out of print, like booster pack size expansions. So this allows you to get more replayability out of it. You don't always play the same monsters. You don't always have the same citizens. So it kind of lets you have different strategies and different ways of playing it. And the Darksworn expansion they're doing right now brings a co-op play to it, where you're kind of playing through an adventure as a group trying to defeat a common enemy. I think this game's great. I kind of wish we didn't have COVID, so I could be jamming it at our local board game cafe, because unfortunately I never picked it up, and I don't know if the second edition is out yet, because I know that's something you also can get through the Kickstarter. But I have not seen the core, and I've looked online at a few places, and it does seem to be sold out pretty much everywhere, waiting for a restock or a reprinting. So yeah, I would like to go to the board game cafe and play it with some people, but obviously COVID times that's not possible. I also would have shot this video there to help support them, but all you can have is dine in. You can't actually sit there and play games and touch their games. They're kind of ribboned off for now. Hopefully all that changes in the future and we can get back to enjoying this hobby in person with real people, which is part of what makes it a beautiful hobby. You get to interact with people and meet new people and just enjoy life and gaming. So hopefully this has been informative for you. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully using Tabletop Simulator isn't too cheesy. But like I said, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you do, you can always like, subscribe, hit that little bell. We'd love to hear from you. We're always open to comments, emails, what you're into, what you want to see next. Maybe give us suggestions of what you want us to talk about. We're just passionate about this hobby of ours, and we want to see it grow, and we just want to be a positive influence in this community, and we want the community to help us too. I mean, this is our community, and help shape us. Let us know what you want. Give us maybe some focus. Maybe you might think we're unfocused. We're welcome to hearing what we do well, maybe hearing what we maybe don't do as well and want us to focus on a different area. We're cool with that. Well, we'd love to hear from you. So hopefully this is all good for you. Thanks from Shane. We really appreciate everything. Talk to you guys later.